This is the Tom Anderson Show, broadcasting live from the KVNT studios, 7 to 9 a.m., Monday through Friday.
Assemblymember John Weddleton of the Municipality of Anchorage joins us, and he is one of the, probably my favorite assembly member, and sorry, Chris and Crystal and Jamie and all the team, but he's an intellect and he's thoughtful, and we're going to also hear who he has endorsed in this runoff for Anchorage mayor and why. We'll get into that both. But Assemblymember John, good morning. Assemblymember Weddleton, how are you this morning?
Well, doing well, thank you.
Yeah, great. And you're an entrepreneur, so I like the fact that you decided a couple of years ago to run for office and representing Anchorage. So let's talk what happened this week. And you've been kind enough to give us reports intermittently. We see now, it looks like Anchorage is completely open. We're going to make a YouTube video of this as well and share it on Alaska Politics and Elections and on other venues. It's good news. So I know the public would like to hear what exactly is happening henceforth or time certain.
Well, I don't know if anything is certain. It was pretty dramatic on Tuesday where Chris Constant proposed changing the emergency order. So basically the only thing left that's noticeable to most people is the mask mandate. But the occupancy limitations and distancing and limits on people at outdoor events, particularly graduations coming up, have really been tough on people, whereas 2 or 4 spectators or people to join them at their graduation. So that's all gone. And really it's our statistics on COVID have been so good for the last couple months that, I think it's a time that it's kind of nice that the rest of the team is coming that way. I felt for several months now that, we just are not in a situation that warrants, being in an emergency situation. It's certainly COVID's out there. We should be careful, but, it should be really an absolute extreme situation where you have the mayor have such incredible power to, impact lives and, it should go the normal legislative process. If we need these things, it's been a year, we don't need the mayor to do those things. So I'm glad to see it. I think we're heading that way. And largely it's because we are doing so well with COVID. The stats are low, and I expect more and more people getting vaccinated that, to continue that way. So it's pretty exciting. Really.
Sure. Now, Ethan Berkowitz is a friend of mine, and when we were colleagues in the legislature, when he was mayor, he was trying to do the right thing the way he thought philosophically would work with this, and he was there right in the heart of it. You're talking about like a war, and he was one of the commanders. Then you see him transition out, and you see the acting mayor come in. You've never complained about just having to deal with different administrations and policy directives. Has that been a struggle or challenge, or have you been able to work with them and it hasn't necessarily affected your constituency? How has that been?
The switch to Austin. I won't hold anything against Austin. She's in that position because the assembly put her there. We made her chair, which means, when Ethan left, that she becomes the acting mayor. So there she is. She didn't ask for it, but the assembly as a group put her there. So, and it's tough. It's not an easy job for her. But she's actually, I liked Ethan a lot, enjoyed working with him, and I think, look back, he's done amazing stuff. But she has, she communicates with us better. So keeps us up to date and talks about, what her goals are and so on. So I do enjoy working with Austin. I did when she was, right on the assembly, and will when she comes back.
I miss Carolyn Hall, who's a friend of mine, and her and Scott, she was the communications director and left at some point when after the transition, and Carolyn was very communicative with our radio station and more than any other mayoral administration, and I appreciated that. So now we move forward and we have a runoff. And some people wanted you to run for mayor and thought that you would encourage, both sides to support you. You opted, obviously, not to. And we have 2 candidates and very strong candidates in terms of their support group. I know you're not on the show to speak on behalf of Forrest, but I'm going to ask you. It sounds like you've endorsed him. I saw a post, and tell me why.
Well, first off, I was most drawn to Bill Falsey and failing Bill. Bill Evans is certainly, they both have experience. They know how to do the job and would have been strong. But sadly, even cumulatively, their experience and knowledge and temperament all didn't seem to cut it with voters. So we have two to choose from. And I tend to look for who's got the experience, knows how our government runs, knows how to deal with the systems and so on. And, when you have a newcomer who, clearly doesn't know how government runs. I mean, you may agree with him philosophically in the broad sweep of things, but what has he done? Has he showed you that he lives it and does what you think he is proposing to do? And I'm going to just say broadly, not even looking at the two people there. So, I've worked with Forrest, and he's got 5 years on the Assembly. He knows how the systems work. He knows how to, he knows how to deal with people. And, and I've worked very well with him. So it's like, this is a guy I know, and he can do the job. And, Bronson I haven't met him, but I've heard him on a number of forums. I've been watching and then reading his website and so on. And, I just don't see that he's got the governing skill set. And there's comments he's made that simply aren't connected with the way our government runs. Things he's talked about how we tax and things like that are just they just don't work. So, maybe at some point, but he's just not ready yet. He should run for Assembly.
But John, I mean, Forrest can do so much better. Give me a break. Yale, West Point, Harvard, Peace Corps. He can do so much more. Yeah, I looked at his resume. It's like, good grief. I'm teasing, of course. Forrest has the resume, and he has the gift of oration and such. I'm supportive of Bronson, and I supported Mike Robinson the first run, and we can agree to disagree. Do you think, as an entrepreneur, do you think that Bronson is more in touch, in tune? Sounds like not, with businesses, or would you say it's with some businesses and not the ones that you know? And the reason I bring that up is I know Bronson is saying, hey, even if Forrest is in the Guard, I'm resonating with the veterans and with the business owners and the folks that want to get things surging and running again. And then Forrest says, but they are back open and we are working. And I'm a veteran and I've worked with business owners and I've got business owner endorsements. I'm assuming Bagage has endorsed them and others who are business people. Tony Knowles one time was in business. And so how do you differentiate that when Bronson's team says, hey, but we're the business, we're the lower tax, we're the veteran, let's get things moving and pay less attention to the homeless and more attention to economy?
Well, a lot can be said. It doesn't mean that it will be done. So they can talk the talk. I haven't seen that Bronson's, I haven't seen that he's run a business or understands that. So I think there's a natural tendency, the conservative is better for business. And that may be true or not. We're pretty constrained in what we do as a city government. So, there's not much anyone can get in there to do huge dramatic things for business or not. The taxes are they the big challenge? Well, if you cut taxes, you're cutting services. And right now, I don't want to cut police. And in fact, homeless, and I think Ms. Bronson said homelessness, he recognizes that as a big issue that does need work. And he's talked about expanding the public-private partnership on it. And that's important. My 5 years on the Assembly, we've had very little city money go towards homeless. Essentially the only money we've done is to kick them out of the parks. And we leave all the rest to nonprofits. COVID changed that when all of a sudden we got forced into the shelter business, but that's not something we want to embrace. So if Mr. Bronson is going to expand the public-private partnership, that means expanding the public part because there hasn't been much. So it'd be interesting to see where he heads with that. But homelessness is an issue. It
is. And by the way, we're talking with Anchorage Assemblymember John Weddleton real quick before we run out of time. And again, we'll make a YouTube video of this to promote your thoughts. And the Andrew Howcrow departure, and then all of a sudden the community development department there may go bankrupt. Real quick, is there a chance to, under a new mayor especially, can we get that revived with COVID money or some other way, or is that in process now, in dialogue?
Yeah, we're working on it. ACDA under any mayor is an important part of our government. They can act flexibly. They can, initiate, investments downtown and actually throughout the city.
You bet.
So it's not really a conservative liberal thing. It's community building. We build our city, and So it's hit hard times, and ALCO did a great job. With the lack of parking downtown, the revenues tanked, and
I think he did
with
too.
that, like many businesses.
Andrew is a solid guy, and he's extremely smart and capable, and I was sad to see him go. Assemblymember John Weddleton, it's always a pleasure when you stop by. This is particularly important with your endorsement. I appreciate your time this morning. Keep up the good work.
All right. Thanks, Tom.
Okay, thank you, sir. This is the Tom Anderson Show. Good morning.